So I called it, didn't I? I told you she'd be back. I told you she was just getting started. Hi, Rice Tribe. I'm Angelica, psychotherapist with 30 years of experience and domestic violence survivor. So I'm here today to give you a reaction to Amber Heard's interviews. Let's break it down.
It's been about more than a week since the verdict. As you sit here with me now, has it sunk in?
How could it? It's surreal and difficult. In part, yes. This has been a long time coming.
Do you stand by your testimony and your accusations against Johnny Depp about abuse?
Of course, to my dying day, will stand by every word of my testimony. I think vast majority of this trial was played out on social media.
Okay, let's call out the narcissist here. Let's just cut to the chase. What I have seen throughout this trial are the symptoms of narcissistic personality disorder. And I can't understand why that wasn't said in the court by Dr. Curry. I agree with the diagnosis of borderline personality disorder and histrionic personality disorder, but NPD, that's been in the DSM. It's always been in the DSM. And she clearly shows the symptoms of NPD. And right here, she says she will stand by her testimony until she dies. Well, of course, because the thing with the narcissist, they lie. And what is the motto of a narcissist? Lie till you die, which I've said before. The motto of a narcissist is lie till you die. And that's what they do. It's a way of life for them. And it's been a way of life since a very, very early age, because that's been one of their defense mechanisms, is to lie, because they've been severely abused. Narcissists become narcissists because of severe emotional abuse and sometimes physical abuse. And, for Amber, we know that there was both emotional and physical abuse. And so this has been her way of living, her way of defending herself is to lie from a very young age, I would say. And so it's very easy. It's second nature. It really becomes second nature. And, that's not the full story, but it's very easy and it's a way of life. And you see here, this whole trial has been one big spin, one big lie, as far as I'm concerned, on her part. And the jurors agreed with me. So, and I think, many of us, real survivors of domestic violence, are in agreement of that. And we've seen it all through the comments, all through the YouTube comments, real survivors of domestic violence just calling her out on her lies because we see it. It's clear because we have been lied to for years. Many of us, like me, many of us have been through many situations of domestic violence, and we've grown up with lies too. Some of us have grown up with, parents that lied and people around us that lied, and we've seen it. And for those that have realized what narcissistic personality is, for those that have realized that, this is what we're dealing with, this is what we have dealt with the abusers, then the lights come on and you can't lie to us anymore.
I think that this trial is an example of that gone haywire, gone amok, and the jury is not immune to that.
You think the jury saw it?
How could they not? I think even the most well-intentioned juror, it would have been impossible to avoid this. Every single day I passed for 3, 4, sometimes 6 blocks, city blocks lined with people holding signs saying, "Burn the witch," "Death to Amber." After 3.5 weeks, I took the stand and saw just a courtroom packed full of Captain Jack Sparrow fans.
Okay, so here, first of all, she's wanting to blame the jurors. All right, the abuser, the narcissist, always blames other people. That's the hallmark of an abuser. They never take responsibility. They never take accountability for their actions. Never. You know, as much as they lie is as much as they do not take responsibility. They just don't. And, you know, everybody's been asking, like, why doesn't she tell the truth? Why doesn't she just tell the truth? Why can't she take responsibility? Well, she can't because she's a narcissist, because she has narcissistic personality disorder. Those are the symptoms I've seen. And they just do not. They will blame anybody, anybody other than themselves. They blame their partner. She's blaming the jurors. They'll blame society. They'll blame their parents. They'll blame their friend. They'll blame this, that, and the other. They just do not take responsibility or accountability for anything. And so here, another thing is she's saying, oh, it's full of Captain Jack Sparrow fans. Well, listen, I was not a Captain Jack Sparrow fan ever. Like I've never seen Jack Sparrow. I became a fan because when this all started, I realized, oh my God, like she has lied to all of us this whole time. Because, you know, like me, I think most people believe the Me Too movement. We believed it when all of this started happening. But oh my God, this is terrible. I can't believe it. I can't believe Johnny would do that. Like, this is just how horrible. And we didn't hear the other side of the story. So we believed it. So Johnny's life has been defamed for the past 6 years. 6 years Johnny has suffered because of this. He has been a victim to her lies for the past 6 years. And it was said in the court that he lost $40 million. It was estimated. $40 million because of all of this. His life has been ruined. His family was ruined. Like he and his family were defamed all over lies. And this is why Johnny Depp, Captain Jack Sparrow, this is why he all of a sudden he became so popular. Not because, you know, we're fans of his movies, not because he's a great actor, but because of the bullshit that he's had to live through all of these years. You know, this is why all of the domestic violence, the real domestic violence survivors came out of the woodwork, is because we believe Johnny, we know Johnny told the truth because we could see the lies. We could see right through the lies. It was obvious. It became obvious very quickly as the trial unfolded.
Who were vocal, energized.
Can you put into words how that felt?
This was the most humiliating and horrible thing I've ever been through. I have never felt more removed from my own humanity. I felt less than human.
Well, you should feel that way because that's how you have behaved. You have behaved less than human. This abuse is less than human. Narcissistic abuse is less than human because narcissistic abusers do not have a conscience. They are manipulative, scheming. You know, they strategize to put somebody down. They are vindictive and jealous. And I'm not just talking about Amber. I'm talking about all people that have narcissistic personality disorder. This is what outlines this personality disorder, is they have such low sense of self-worth. zero value. They do not value themselves. They have zero sense of self-worth, despite what it looks like on the surface. It may look on the surface like, they're very confident, and, she's a movie star, and, she's got it all put together. But no, you scratch that surface a little bit, you're going to see how they devalue themselves. And this is projected onto other people. And so this is why they will gaslight their partner, you know, and victimize their partner, is because their own sense of self-worth. Now she's feeling less than humans. Well, her behavior is less than human. It's evil. It's evil to the core. And the real survivors of domestic violence, we know, we have lived it so many times. This is evil. And when they start devaluing you, they will do anything to crush you, to destroy you. They will do anything to make you as miserable as they are. This is the truth. This is what happens in these relationships. They want you to be as miserable as they are. And this is why they do what they do. This is why they will attempt to destroy our careers. They attempt to isolate us from everybody. They don't want us to have friends. They don't want us to have any other relationship. They will stop friendships with friends and family, and they just end it because they want us to be isolated. They want complete and total control of our lives. And this is just evil to the core. And the longer they stay in this evil behavior, the more negative they become. And I have felt this evil energy myself, and I know other YouTubers talking about narcissism, they have felt this also. And it just grows and it festers and it festers. So yes, it is less than human. Less than human. You're right, Amber. Mhm.
Let's go back to the day of the verdict. Were you feeling confident?
That's a great question. I wish I could say yes to that. I want to say yes to you, but it wouldn't be true. Even if you think that I'm lying, you still couldn't look me in the eye and tell me that you think on social media there's been a fair representation. There was another trial dealt with the same substantive issues that had even more evidence in. In fact, my evidence was largely kept out. Really important pieces of evidence kept out. Done differently, handled differently by a judge instead of a jury.
Some evidence is admissible.
I'll tell you, this was a fair trial. I'll tell you what was not fair is you starting the whole Me Too movement 6 years ago and throwing Johnny under the bus and defaming him and his family 6 years ago. That's what has been unfair. Because we believed you 6 years ago. Everybody believed Amber 6 years ago. And Johnny has been living with this injustice all this time. He's been defamed all this time. So, no, you have no right to say that this isn't just, that justice hasn't been done. Justice has been done.
In a UK court that is not admissible in a US court. Do you think that maybe he just had better lawyers?
I will say his lawyers did certainly a better job of distracting the jury from the real issues.
For some people, they just were frankly disgusted by the whole thing.
Excuse me, Amber, your lawyers tried to distract the jury from the real issues. Your lawyers did that. Constantly, trying to, hide the real issues, hide the fact that you were emotionally abusive and physically abusive in this relationship. Your lawyers are the ones that tried to say that Johnny's that Johnny's addiction issues were the issue. Your lawyers tried to pin all of his addiction issues and say that, oh, this is why he was abusive. Well, his addictions has nothing to do with abuse. Those are two separate issues. There's an abuse issue and there's an addiction issue. They're not the same, because not all people with addictions will be abusers. Not all abusers will have an addiction. Those are not the same, but your lawyers tried to make it one and the same because they didn't have much to go on. Yes, we saw Johnny go off in the kitchen, but he went off in the kitchen because you threw a fit because he wanted a postnuptial agreement. And you had just been following him around when he was trying to hide in 5 bathrooms and 2 bedrooms. You had been following him around, and then, he started drinking again. He had been sober for months, and then he just started drinking again at that time. And then you start recording him. So this seemed to have been planned. Anyway, I'm going off. But yeah, let's keep listening.
and don't have much sympathy for either one of you. Can you understand that?
Absolutely. I would not blame the average person for looking at this.
Okay, sorry, Savannah. I got to call you out on that one. No. We have sympathy for Johnny. Okay. The real survivors of domestic violence, we absolutely have sympathy for Johnny because of what he's been through. He's been through hell. Okay. Amber has put him through hell for 6 years. Of course, we have sympathy for Johnny. Of course.
And how it's been covered, and not think that it is Hollywood brats at their worst. But what people don't understand is it's.
Yes, I agree with you on that one, Amber. Hollywood brats at their worst. On your side, this is what, frankly, this is what you all look like, you and the people that testified for you. Y'all look like Hollywood brats. Honestly, I'll tell it right. I'll tell it wrong as far as I'm concerned.
It's actually so much bigger than that. This is not only about our First Amendment right to speak.
But here's the thing about the First Amendment. The First Amendment protects free speech. It doesn't protect lies that amount to defamation, and that was the issue in the case.
Yes, exactly. You can't go into the free speech does not protect you if you go into a crowded theater and you scream fire. We get the concept of free speech from the Greeks. My understanding of what that means is not just the freedom to speak. It's a freedom to speak truth to power.
Now, what does all that mean? Like, what now you're talking about the Greeks and speaking truth to power. What does all that mean? And so you see, she's come up, she's thought of this. She's thought of, what can I say that's, going to, uh, make me sound honest. And listen, y'all have to understand that the narcissists are chameleons. They become chameleons at a very young age, out of necessity. They don't have their own sense of self. They long ago have cut themselves off from their own emotions, from their own feelings, and they have no real sense of self. And so they will take on the personality of another person. And so she's taken on the personality of abused women. This is what she started to do when she started the Me Too movement. She started, taking on this personality of, being abused and oppressed, and so she knows, she has studied, abused women and what they go through. So here she's trying to portray that. She's very much trying to portray herself as the victim, of course. And this is what is called being the victim. Okay, when I say be the victim, this is exactly what it means. Is who will play the victim? The narcissist is the one that plays the victim. Okay? She's the one that's victimized Johnny all these years. Now, at the end of it, when it all comes down to it, when the whole thing is over, that's when she starts playing the victim. Okay. This is when she will engage flying monkeys to come around and do her dirty work, which is what Elaine did. You can check out my other videos on that, the Flying Monkey Show. This is what Elaine did. She got Elaine to go, do her bidding, speak for her, get on her side, and she tries to get people on her side because now she's portraying herself as being the victim. Okay. But we can see through that.
But truth is the word.
Yes.
And that was the issue.
And that's all I spoke. And I spoke it to power, and I paid the price.
In the closing arguments, the Depp lawyer called your testimony the performance of a lifetime and said you were acting. What do you say to that?
Says the lawyer for the man who convinced the world he had scissors for fingers. I'm the performer. I had listened to.
How could she say that? Like, what, where does that come from? When I first heard that, I'm like, what, the, this is priceless. Let me tell you why this is priceless. This is a good one, Amber. This is a good one. And you got everyone with this one. Okay. I heard everybody, watch this part like 100 times over, and everybody's just flabbergasted, like how could you say this? Where the hell does this come from? Where the fuck does this come from? This, folks, right here is an attempt to change the subject because she doesn't know how to answer what Savannah just asked. Okay, so Savannah just uh what can any one of you answer? What was Savannah's question? What question did Savannah ask? I think a lot of you yesterday forgot the question because you're focused on what she just said. You're focused on her comment about Johnny Scissorhands. Like, where does that come from? That, folks, is an attempt to uh, detract you. It's an attempt to change the subject, which she does very effectively. It's a manipulation tactic on the part of the abuser. This is what they do. This is what they do constantly, is they will attempt to change the subject. And it's what I call, it's a mind fuck technique. Okay, this is what I call it. It's an absolute mind fuck technique. And it drives us crazy. When you're going through that, when you're living with that, you're living with constant mind fuck techniques. And this is what drives us crazy. And you can check out my video on how she drove Johnny batshit crazy. And this is one way. This is one thing that they do is changing the subject and just spinning it in a different direction. And it's crazy making.
Weeks of testimony insinuating that, or saying quite directly that, I'm a terrible actress. So I'm a bit confused how I could be both.
The Depp team argued that you were the abuser, that you instigated physical violence. Did you?
I never had to instigate it. I responded to it. When you're living in violence and it becomes normal, as I testified to, you have to adapt.
You say you were responding, but
Like I said, she has taken on the identity of the abused woman. And so she knows very well, she has studied what abused women go through. And let me tell you something. Somebody with NPD, narcissistic personality disorder, they study their victims. They learn about their victim, their target. They learn about you. They study you. They know your likes and your dislikes. And so she not only studied Johnny and learned his likes and dislikes. I mean, this is how she got Johnny. Johnny thought, oh my God, we love the same quirky books. We love the same quirky music. This is amazing. She's amazing. Oh my God, Um, but no, she is, because she studied Johnny, and she will pretend all of this stuff to make it seem like, oh my God, she's my soulmate. And so now she had to take on the identity of the abused woman in order to start the whole Me Too movement. I mean, my God, this is just unbelievable to go to such lengths, to start this whole movement that not only affected Johnny, but it became a huge movement. And a lot of men lost their jobs and lost their lives as they knew it, and maybe rightfully so. I'm sure some of them were real abusers, but maybe some of them not. But I mean, this is massive, and so she has studied what an abused woman is like. So this is why she's able to say these things, and what she's saying is true for a real survivor of domestic violence.
But there is evidence. There are tapes in which you acknowledge hitting. There are tapes in which you say, I started the fight.
I know much has been made of these audio tapes. They were first leaked online after being edited. What you would hear in those clips are not evidence of what was happening. It was evidence of a negotiation of how to talk about that with your abuser.
But I am looking at a transcript that says, he says, you start physical fights, and you say, I did start a physical fight. I can't promise you I won't get physical again. I mean, this is in black and white. I understand context. But you're testifying and you're just telling me today, I never started a physical fight, and here you are on tape saying you did.
As I testified on the stand about this, is that when your life is at risk, not only will you take the blame for things that you shouldn't take the blame for, but when you're in an abusive dynamic, psychologically, emotionally, and physically, you don't have the resources that, say, you or I do with the luxury of saying, hey, this is black and white, because it's anything but when you're living in it.
But then there are other times, there's another tape where you're taunting him and saying, oh, tell the world, Johnny Depp, I, a man, am a victim of domestic violence.
20-second clips, or the transcripts of them, are not representative of even the 2 hours or the 3 hours that those clips are excerpt from.
Could your side have just put the whole 3 hours in then?
I'm not a lawyer.
Okay, so right here, this is a very typical tactic of an abuser. She's minimizing this whole thing. All right, she's spinning it around to go in her favor. She's minimizing what she said, what she did, what she said in the audio recordings. And so she's spinning it in her favor. Oh, that was just one little clip of a whole thing. And like she's acting like, oh no, that was nothing. I didn't say anything there. No, and then she's acting like the poor victim, that like the poor victim of domestic violence, and that she's has to do what she needs to do in order to survive, and you know blah blah blah, and nobody buys it.
As I testified to, I was talking in those recordings as a person in extreme amount of emotional, psychological, and physical distress.
He
And
says
it
he
doesn't.
never hit you.
He can't-
Never. Is
yeah.
that a lie?
Yes, it is.
What about the witnesses who said they have seen you instigate physical violence?
I've seen firsthand how people will file rank person they depend on.
Did they all come in?
Okay, first of all, when she said that Johnny lied, it's very easy for her to lie, because again, she's been lying now. The somebody with NPD, they've been lying since they're a child, out of necessity, in order to survive. Um, and so it becomes easy. It becomes second nature. And then the lies build upon lies. They get into problems though when they forget a particular lie. But you see here how it's very easy for her to just lie. It's not difficult, and this is also why I think she would pass a polygraph test. This is why a lot of abusers, a lot of criminals will pass a polygraph test uh, because there is no conscience there. They've long since, like, there's no emotion related to it, you know. Other people are just objects. They're just objects to use. There's no empathy there, okay? There's no empathy. It's not there. It's non-existent. So it's all about her and what's in it for her, what she can get out of this. Okay, and I'm not just talking about Amber. I'm talking about abusers in general, narcissistic personality disordered people in general. This is how they are. Okay, there's many books written on this, lots of YouTube videos about this, and these are the characteristics.
And lie in court?
I am not here to call any of his witnesses any names. I'm here to just kind of talk about it from what it felt like for me as the person who sat there.
When I asked his lawyers, why do you think you won? And the answer I got was, because she never took responsibility for anything she did in the marriage.
I did do and say horrible, regrettable things throughout my relationship. I behaved in horrible, almost unrecognizable to myself ways. I have so much regret. I freely and openly and voluntarily talked about what I did. I talked about the horrible language. I talked about being pushed to the extent where I didn't even know the difference between, right and wrong.
Okay, right here, this is what I call fleeting insight. Now, the abuser, and I've heard this many times from the different abusers that I've been with, very often they will have what appears to be insight, what I call fleeting insight. And they can blow you away with it. It's like, wow, oh my God, where did this come from? All of a sudden, wow, she's seen the light. You've seen the light. Wow. And this is exactly what will keep a victim in the situation. This is what will keep the victim of domestic violence or intimate partner violence in the situation. When we hear these so-called insight, when the abuser says, "Oh, I'm sorry, I did wrong. I shouldn't have done that. I'm not going to do that again. That was wrong of me. That was bad. It's that was horrible. I'll never do it again." This is one reason why we will stay in the situation, is because that's what we want to hear. That's what we want to hear. We want to hear the insight. We are yearning for the person to wake up. We yearn for the person to see the wrong in their behavior. We are yearning for the love, the care. We yearn for the person to become normal and to treat us with respect and decency, us and our children. And so when we hear this little bit of insight, it's just, oh my God, we grab that. We want to hold on to that. Yes. And so this is what she's attempting to make us believe, like, oh, she has insight, oh, she's aware of her behavior. Oh, she's taking responsibility now. You see? That's what she's attempting to do. But she's not fooling me and you.
Will always continue to feel like I was a part of this, like I was the other half of this relationship, because I was. And it was ugly and could be very beautiful. It was very, very toxic. And we were awful to each other. I made a lot of mistakes. A lot of mistakes. But I've always told the truth.
Okay, so that's it for part 1. So tune in for part 2 as we dissect that.